Ruthlessness has been misunderstood for centuries because most people view the world through a lens clouded by emotion, hesitation, and social conditioning. They believe that being ruthless means being heartless, cruel, or immoral. But the truth is far more strategic and far more powerful. Ruthlessness is not about hurting people. It is about seeing reality without filters, acting without unnecessary emotion, and removing whatever weakens your path to power. Most people fail in life not because they lack talent or intelligence, but because they lack clarity. They allow guilt, fear, and the desire to be liked to control their decisions. They cling to people who drain them, say yes when they should say no, and apologize for things that never required apology. They allow emotions to cloud their vision, and then they wonder why they keep losing ground. A ruthless mind is a clear mind. It chooses results over approval, progress over comfort, and truth over delusion. When you operate with clarity, you begin to see how many of your daily decisions are shaped by fear. You fear being judged, so you hide your ambition. You fear conflict, so you avoid setting boundaries. You fear losing people, so you accept disrespect. This fear-driven approach is the opposite of power. Ruthlessness cuts those fears away. It allows you to look at situations without the emotional fog that keeps most people trapped. It allows you to act based on what is necessary rather than what is comfortable. Clarity demands that you acknowledge the world as it truly is, not as you wish it to be. In this world, not everyone wants the best for you. Not everyone claps for you. Some secretly hope you fail because your rise threatens their comfort. Others pretend to support you while quietly undermining your progress. A person who lacks clarity will ignore these realities. They will keep giving chances to people who don't deserve them, trusting promises that are built on lies, and forgiving behaviors that continue to repeat. A ruthless person identifies the truth quickly and acts on it. They do not wait for stronger evidence when the first evidence was enough. They do not hope that someone will change when the pattern has already revealed their nature. Their clarity gives them the courage to make decisions that others avoid. Ruthlessness is also the ability to cut away distractions. Many people are buried under obligations, relationships, and commitments that drain energy but offer nothing in return. They remain loyal to old friendships that no longer align with their goals, responsibilities that no longer serve their future, and habits that sabotage their self-respect. A ruthless person does not hesitate to remove what weakens them. They understand that every unnecessary attachment is a chain holding them back from rising. They know that progress requires sacrifice, and the first sacrifice is always comfort. They choose discomfort with growth over comfort with stagnation. This clarity of purpose is what separates the powerful from the powerless. Another part of ruthlessness is the ability to detach from outcomes. Most people fail because they are emotionally attached to how things should be. They cling to expectations, forcing outcomes that no longer make sense. They rush to explain themselves, justify their actions, or defend their image. A ruthless person understands that attachment is a trap. They are not controlled by their desire to look good or be understood. They focus solely on what moves them closer to their objectives. When something is no longer useful, they drop it. When someone becomes a threat, they distance themselves. When an opportunity dies, they do not mourn it, they replace it. Ruthlessness is clarity in human relationships as well. It is the awareness that every person around you is motivated by their own interests, their own fears, and their own ambitions. Most people are predictable because their actions are rooted in insecurity. They want validation, comfort, and acceptance. A ruthless person studies these patterns objectively, without judgment or emotion. They see who is valuable, who is dangerous, who is envious, and who is loyal only when it benefits them. This clarity allows them to place people where they belong instead of where emotions want to place them. They never elevate someone who has shown signs of betrayal. They never trust words more than behavior. They never ignore early warnings because clarity teaches them that small cracks become great fractures. Ultimately, ruthlessness is the discipline to remove anything that does not serve your growth. It is the refusal to be manipulated by guilt or held hostage by emotional obligations. It is the internal strength to prioritize your mission, your future, and your stability over temporary feelings. And most importantly, it is the courage to walk alone when necessary, because clarity teaches you that walking alone with purpose is always better than walking with crowds that lead you nowhere. Mercy becomes dangerous when it is given by someone who has not yet established their power. People misunderstand mercy the same way they misunderstand kindness. They believe it is always a virtue, always a sign of goodness, always the right response. But the world does not work on moral illusions. It works on power, perception, and leverage. When someone who is not strong shows mercy, it is interpreted as fear. It is seen as hesitation. It is understood as a sign that you can be tested, pushed, and controlled. Mercy without strength is not mercy at all. It is an invitation for others to take advantage of you. People only respect kindness when it comes from someone who is clearly capable of enforcing consequences. The moment others sense that you do not have the power to punish, to walk away, to replace them, or to push back, your mercy becomes meaningless. It becomes a tool used against you. Those who cannot defend themselves should never rush to be merciful, because mercy without the ability to enforce boundaries is simply weakness dressed as virtue. Most people fail to understand this, and that is why they continuously forgive the same disrespect, tolerate the same excuses, and allow the same people to waste their time and drain their energy. They forgive because they think forgiveness makes them morally superior. But real power does not come from appearing good. It comes from being untouchable. Strength first, mercy second. This is the natural order of power. When you establish yourself as someone who cannot be pushed around, your mercy is meaningful. It is seen as a choice, not a necessity. People recognize that you are capable of reacting harshly but choose not to. That kind of mercy creates loyalty, admiration, and caution. But when you show mercy before proving your strength, it creates entitlement. It teaches people that you are afraid of conflict, afraid of losing them, afraid of confrontation. Once they sense fear, they will continue to push the boundaries because they know you will always bend before you break. Weak mercy is the origin of many personal struggles. People stay in relationships they should have ended long ago because they confuse mercy with patience. They keep employees who undermine them because they confuse mercy with fairness. They allow friends to disrespect their growth because they confuse mercy with loyalty. But power demands that you protect yourself first. It demands that you remove those who threaten your peace, your time, or your ambition. When you fail to do this, you end up giving the wrong people too much access to your life. They feed off your softness, knowing that you will always forgive them. This is not kindness. This is self-betrayal. Mercy must be earned. It cannot be given freely. When people know they must work to deserve your forgiveness, your time, or your tolerance, they treat you differently. They become cautious with their behavior, respectful with their words, and careful with their decisions. They know that your boundaries have weight, that your silence is not fear, and that your patience is not weakness. But when people know you will forgive them regardless of what they do, they stop respecting you. They begin to see you as someone who lacks the courage to enforce your own standards. This is why many powerful people rarely show mercy early on. They understand that establishing authority is more important than appearing compassionate. Strength is not always physical. It is the ability to say no without guilt, to cut ties without hesitation, to separate your emotions from your decisions. It is the ability to walk away from situations where you are not valued. It is the discipline to hold your ground even when others attempt to manipulate you through guilt or emotional pressure. When you possess this strength, your mercy becomes a sign of self-control rather than weakness. People know you are calm because you choose to be, not because you lack options. They know your silence is strategic, not submissive. Another reason mercy without strength is a weakness is that it gives people the wrong impression about your limits. If you let things slide once, they will test you again. If you forgive too quickly, they will repeat the offense. If you do not demonstrate consequences, they will assume there are none. Your boundaries must be clear, firm, and enforceable before your mercy can mean anything. A person who enforces boundaries early rarely needs to enforce them again because the message is delivered clearly the first time. But someone who avoids conflict out of fear ends up dealing with more conflict in the long run because people never take their boundaries seriously. Power teaches you that not everyone deserves a second chance. Some people misunderstand your patience as permission. Some people mistake your silence for weakness. Some people take advantage of your calmness, thinking it means you lack the ability to react. When you show mercy to those who intend to harm you, you give them the time and space to grow stronger at your expense. You give them room to plan, to manipulate, to return with greater confidence. Showing mercy too early exposes you to danger because it gives enemies the impression that you cannot stop them. True mercy must be backed by the threat of consequence. It must be offered from a position of stability and control. Otherwise, it becomes a liability that others will exploit. Power is not cruel, but it is uncompromising. It understands that kindness must be selective and timed correctly. Mercy must be rare enough to hold value. When power shows mercy, the world calls it grace. But when weakness shows mercy, the world calls it stupidity. Power is never lost in a single moment. It erodes slowly, quietly, through small threats that are ignored until they grow into forces too large to control. Most people fail not because their enemies were strong, but because they hesitated when the danger was still small. They ignored the subtle disrespect, the early signs of jealousy, the first acts of sabotage, the quiet whispering behind their back. They told themselves it was nothing, that it would go away, that confronting it would create unnecessary conflict. But every threat you ignore grows. Every enemy you spare gains confidence. Every problem you avoid gathers strength in the shadows. And by the time you finally look it in the eye, it has already gathered enough momentum to challenge your position. Power demands vigilance. You must learn to see danger long before it becomes visible to others. You must train yourself to read the early signs, the shift in tone when someone speaks to you, the small deviation from loyalty, the forced smile that hides resentment, the hesitation in carrying out your instructions, the sudden change in someone's behavior when you achieve something. These small signals reveal the truth long before an open attack occurs. Most people remain blind to them because they want the world to be peaceful. They want to believe that everyone around them is harmless. They want to avoid the discomfort of confronting tension, but power is not protected by hope. It is protected by decisive action. When a threat appears, you must eliminate it early. This does not always mean direct confrontation or aggression. Elimination can be quiet. It can mean distancing yourself from someone who is becoming unpredictable. It can mean removing their access to sensitive information. It can mean cutting ties with someone who shows signs of envy. It can mean repositioning allies so that potential enemies are isolated. The point is not violence. The point is prevention. The moment you sense that someone has the potential to harm your progress, you must act before they gather the courage or opportunity to strike. The reason early action is so effective is because small threats are easier to neutralize. A minor disrespect can be corrected with one firm response. A jealous colleague can be sidelined before they gain influence. A disloyal friend can be replaced before they have the power to ruin you. A competitor can be outmaneuvered before they anticipate your strategy. But when you wait, when you allow threats to breathe, you unintentionally strengthen them. Your silence is interpreted as weakness. Your hesitation becomes permission. Your lack of action becomes the fuel that emboldens others to challenge your authority. Weak people are reactive. They only move when the danger becomes too large to ignore. They wait until betrayal is undeniable, until disrespect becomes public, until the situation becomes chaotic. By then, their options are limited. Their reputation suffers, their enemies multiply, and their power shrinks. Strong individuals are proactive. They act in the shadows long before a situation becomes visible. They make adjustments quietly. They shift alliances strategically. They closed doors before enemies even realized the opportunity existed. Their strength lies not in aggression, but in anticipation. Eliminating threats early also protects your mental clarity. One of the greatest drains on strength is uncertainty. When you allow doubtful individuals to remain in your life, you live with constant anxiety. You question their intentions, you overthink their actions, you worry about betrayal. This mental burden weakens your focus and distracts you from your goals. A powerful individual refuses to carry such unnecessary weight. They remove the source of uncertainty quickly so their mind remains sharp, calm, and disciplined. When the environment around you is controlled, your internal world becomes stronger. Most threats come from people who started as allies. Power changes relationships. The moment you rise, the people who once supported you may begin to envy you. The friend who once cheered for you may feel threatened by your growth. The colleague who once respected you may suddenly seek opportunities to outshine you. Family member who once depended on you may resent your independence. These shifts happen subtly at first, and only the vigilant can catch them in time. Power forces you to reevaluate people constantly. You cannot afford to assume that someone who was harmless yesterday will remain harmless tomorrow. Early elimination of threats also sets a psychological tone. When people realize that you do not tolerate disrespect, envy, or betrayal at any scale, they become cautious in their behavior. They measure their words, they evaluate their actions, and they maintain discipline around you. It creates an atmosphere of respect that protects your authority. But if you allow even one person to cross your boundaries without consequence, others will follow. Weakness spreads like a signal. People test limits only when they believe the limits are flexible. Remove the first threat and the others will fall in line. Power is a game of territory. You must guard your space the way a strong ruler guards a kingdom. You secure the borders before attackers arrive. You neutralize internal instability before it grows. You study the ambitions of those around you. You track shifts in loyalty. You maintain control by ensuring that no enemy, no matter how small, has room to grow. People who fail to eliminate threats early always end up fighting larger battles later. Battles they could have avoided with one decisive move when the danger was still fragile. Eliminate threats early not because you are paranoid, but because you understand the nature of human ambition. Envy grows quietly. Disloyalty begins with one small decision. Betrayal starts with harmless curiosity. People change when opportunity appears, and the only way to stay ahead is to act before they do, while the threat still has no power, no followers, no confidence, and no path to victory. Loyalty is one of the most fragile currencies in the world of power. People speak about it as if it is sacred, permanent, and unconditional. Yet in reality, it shifts with circumstances, opportunities, and personal interests. The mistake most people make is believing that loyalty is built on emotion, gratitude, or shared history. They assume that because someone has stood beside them in the past, they will continue to stand beside them in the future. But human nature does not operate on sentiment, it operates on advantage. People remain loyal as long as loyalty benefits them. The moment circumstances change, so does their commitment. This reality is uncomfortable for many because they want to believe in unconditional bonds. They want to believe that relationships can survive any test, that people will stay because they care, that promises have weight even when situations shift. But power requires that you view people not through hope, but through truth. And the truth is that loyalty that depends on emotion is fragile. Loyalty that depends on incentives is stable. When someone gains more by supporting you than by opposing you, they remain loyal. When the balance shifts and they see greater opportunity in betraying you, their loyalty evaporates. This does not make people evil, it makes them predictable. Every human being is guided by self-interest, whether they admit it or not. Some are driven by ambition, some by fear, some by comfort, some by opportunity. If you do not understand what motivates the individuals around you, you will constantly feel betrayed, disappointed, or confused by their actions. But if you understand their incentives, you gain control. You know what to offer, what to withhold, what to reinforce, and what to remove. You learn to structure relationships in ways where loyalty becomes the most advantageous choice for them. Incentives come in many forms. For some, it is the sense of belonging that keeps them loyal. For others, it is financial benefit, access to information, proximity to power, or the protection you provide. Some stay because they fear what life would be like without your influence. Others stay because rising with you elevates them. Your task is not to judge their motives, but to identify them. Once you know what drives a person, you can predict their actions long before they take them. The danger lies in assuming that loyalty will remain static. People's desires evolve, their needs shift, their ambitions grow. A friend who supports you today may envy you tomorrow. A colleague who follows your lead now may attempt to surpass you later. A partner who depends on you today may seek independence in the future. Loyalty is not broken suddenly. It erodes gradually as incentives change. That is why powerful individuals constantly reassess the people around them. They never assume loyalty, they test it. They never rely on promises, they rely on patterns. They never expect consistency without offering consistent incentives. Those who understand power know that relying on emotional loyalty is a trap. When you rely on emotion, you put your fate in the hands of unpredictable feelings. When you rely on incentives, you control the structure of the relationship. Incentives create stability by aligning interests. And when interests are aligned, betrayal becomes illogical. The most powerful organizations, armies, and alliances in history were not held together by emotion, but by mutual benefit. Each party had something to gain by staying loyal and something to lose by breaking the alliance. Loyalty is strongest when betrayal is costly. If someone can leave you without losing anything, their loyalty is shallow. If someone can undermine you without consequences, their loyalty is conditional. If someone can gain more by abandoning you than by staying, their loyalty is temporary. But when you structure relationships so that supporting you gives them strength, opportunity, protection, or elevation, loyalty becomes a rational choice. People are far more dependable when loyalty serves their interest. This principle also applies to your own loyalty. You must examine where you invest your commitment. If you remain loyal to people who no longer offer value, stability, or alignment with your future, you weaken yourself. The loyalty that blinds you is dangerous. Loyalty given without strategy becomes exploitation. You must ensure that your loyalty serves your growth rather than sabotaging it. Power requires that you protect your energy, time, and ambition by aligning yourself with those who elevate you, not those who drain you. Another aspect of loyalty is perception. People stay loyal to those who appear strong, rising, or untouchable. When your momentum is visible, loyalty increases. When your power is questioned, loyalty begins to fade. This is why you must constantly project strength, stability, and direction. People follow those who seem destined to win. When they believe you are rising, they attach themselves to your path. When they sense hesitation or insecurity, they distance themselves. Loyalty is shaped not only by incentives, but by perception of your future. Understanding the temporary nature of loyalty also allows you to handle betrayal with strategy rather than emotion. Betrayal becomes less shocking when you recognize that loyalty was conditional from the start. Instead of reacting with anger or heartbreak, you analyze the shift in incentives that caused the betrayal. You use that information to prevent future vulnerabilities. You refine your alliances. You strengthen your position. You eliminate dependence on emotional bonds and replace them with structures that serve your long-term power. The most powerful individuals in history never relied on blind loyalty. They created systems where following them was more rewarding than opposing them. They knew that loyalty must be engineered, not hoped for. They surrounded themselves with people whose success depended on their success. They ensured that anyone who contemplated betrayal would face consequences so significant that loyalty was always the easier path. They understood that loyalty is not a moral choice. It is a strategic calculation influenced by incentives, fear, ambition, and opportunity. Power is not an accident. It is the result of ruthless clarity, disciplined strength, decisive action, and a deep understanding of human nature. To rise above the masses, you must see the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. You must develop the courage to separate emotion from strategy, to cut away what weakens you, and to act with precision when threats emerge. Strength must be established before mercy is granted, because mercy without power invites exploitation. Threats must be eliminated early, because hesitation allows them to grow bold. And loyalty must never be assumed, because it shifts with circumstances and survives only when supported by incentives. Those who cling to idealism fall prey to those who understand the mechanics of influence. Those who wait for others to protect them become victims of their own passivity, but those who cultivate a ruthless mind become impossible to control. They see every interaction through the lens of advantage. They reward loyalty strategically and withdraw it without hesitation. They do not beg for respect. They command it through their actions, their boundaries, and their willingness to do what others fear to do. In the end, power belongs to those who refuse to be blinded by emotions that the world uses to manipulate the weak. It belongs to those who understand that ruthlessness is not cruelty, but clarity. That strength is not violence, but discipline. That survival is not luck, but awareness. And that loyalty is not given, but engineered. When you adopt this mindset, you stop living in reaction and begin living in command. You rise above the noise, above the illusions, and above the dependency that traps ordinary people. You become a force that others must adjust to. You shape your world instead of being shaped by it. And once you understand these rules deeply, you step into a level of power that most will never reach.